Imagine stepping into your workplace each day, dreading every moment, feeling like you are walking into a battlefield. The anxiety, the tension, and the constant feeling of being undervalued. Or perhaps for some of you, you have the feeling like you're walking into a storm where negativity swirls all around you, tension crackles in the air, and every interaction feels like dodging lightning bolts. What if I told you that you have the power to rise up above it? Your experience right now does not have to define you. Know that it is not by accident that you're watching my Toxic Workplace Masterclass. Workplace toxicity is real and it can shake even the strongest among us. Let's take a moment to unpack what a toxic workplace is by joining me down a memory lane. I remember it as if it was yesterday. 13 years ago, I walked into a room filled with power. I showed up ready to make a difference and lead my staff. I had sunshine with me that day and it was surrounding me. I had a glow of confidence that no one could dim, or so I thought. Two executives, they sat right before me. One, let's call him Captain Cringe, and the other, Mr. Manners. Captain Cringe looked at me as if I did not belong, while Mr. Manners greeted me with a warm smile and an encouraging look. My focus immediately went on Captain Cringe, whose cold glaze collided with my warm smile. I was wondering, can my warm smile melt his iceberg? As the meeting progressed, I shared dynamic feedback about using innovative thinking approaches to address the challenges within our organization. Mr. Manners provided positive feedback regarding my visionary perspective, while Captain Cringe's body language completely shifted. He rolled his eyes and completely dismissed me. He made me question whether or not, am I enough? Do I really belong? Do I have a seat at this table? Did I earn it? I unsuccessfully tried to win his approval by elevating my feedback and sharing concrete and data specific approaches to challenges within our organization. I used my wit and knowledge as a content expert to demonstrate viable options using a solution based approach. Unfortunately, my efforts proved futile. Captain Cringe continued his disapproval. For 2 days, I shrank myself. I second guessed myself. I thought about my credentials and what, if any, additional training would be helpful to me in making me stand out even more. Luckily, my mentor entered my room and she saw that darkness like a cloud over my entire body. Miss Elevate was an executive within the organization. She leaned in and asked me, Josephine, what's going on? I've never, ever seen you looking like this. What's the matter? What is going on? I then began to share with Miss Elevate what happened in the meeting. I informed her that our senior executives held a meeting where I shared feedback regarding how to solve current challenges within our organization. Unfortunately, despite my concrete and dynamic visionary approaches that provided a solution-based approach. Captain Cringe met my every feedback with disapproval. He gave me disgusted looks that made me feel as if I did not belong. You should have been there, Miss Elevate. It was terrible. I felt quite vulnerable. I felt almost as if I was an imposter, that I never really earned my seat at the table. I was really beside myself. I don't understand what happened. He was very degrading to me. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what to do. I really want to prove to him that I can do this. Miss Elevate sighed and said, Josephine, you do not need to dim your light because of Captain Cringe. He has a reputation of being rude and disrespectful. Sometimes within an organization, there are executives who create a toxic work environment for young professionals. Josephine, you are enough, my dear. You belong here. You earned a seat at the table. It wasn't given to you. You have impeccable credentials. It is not you, it is him. I will address his behavior. Please remember, dear, you do not have to prove yourself to him or anyone else. You are enough. Remember that. You are enough. You belong. In that moment, the clouds lifted over me and the sunshine came out again. I knew that I would not shrink to fit into spaces that were too small for my greatness. I stopped explaining my brilliance to those who were committed to misunderstanding me. I will no longer seek validation. Instead, I stood up tall. I owned my power. I collaborated with mentors and formed healthy alliances within my organization. I embraced my voice. I walked in my purpose without apology, and I was able to successfully thrive in my toxic workplace. You too can learn how to thrive in a toxic workplace. Now, I turn to you. How can you spot a toxic leader or make an accurate assessment that the organization you are working for is toxic? When everyone has a different tolerance level, whereby one worker's toxic, maybe another person's tolerable. How can you make that distinction? What are your thoughts? Okay, I can see the gears turning and your brain going. Based on my experiences, my immediate genius reaction as to how to spot a toxic leader or make an assessment that an organization is toxic is, wait for it, get a hazard sign and place it on the forehead of each toxic person in an organization that says, be aware. I am a toxic person. This way, onlookers will be fully warned as to who the toxic persons are. Similarly, toxic organizations should have a huge sign right in front of their front door or any part that's visible that says, be very aware. This is a toxic workplace. Work here at your own risk. What do you think? Was that a genius idea or what? That would be amazing if this information was known upfront. It actually might even work in personal relationships where you could see the word toxic on certain individuals. I would have surely loved knowing that information before I started working in my toxic organization. Now, what are your thoughts about the exact definition as to what a toxic workplace is? What do you think the definition is? Well, a toxic workplace includes a work environment where employees are not truly valued. This is oftentimes seen when hard work goes unnoticed. What else do you think happened? In these instances, a toxic workplace also include being given projects whereby you're staying up late to finish them, you never received acknowledgement, or perhaps you took on additional work to support it. And again, all of these examples are what I'm going to share as to what a toxic workplace look like. And then towards the end, we will come up with some tips and tricks. Sometimes in these organizations, your boss or your colleague might even take credit for your contributions and your work while you remain invisible. I had a boss who asked for my feedback during one of our supervisory sessions about how to be able to solve a few of the emerging challenges within my organization. As a young professional, I happily shared my feedback because I thought I was doing a great deal of service to my company. I was shocked and betrayed when I found out that my boss was taking my ideas and presenting them as her own ideas without giving me the credit. That was the last time I shared any ideas with her. And because of that, when the senior executive asked her for additional ideas or to expand on her initial ideas, crickets, silence, because it wasn't her original idea. As a result of that, she no longer received accolades and they took away work projects because they found out that it wasn't really her that was fueling the creativity. Indirectly, I was very, very happy to know that she no longer was benefiting from my hard work. Was that too cruel? No, I think that's valid. Whenever you have an idea, you should be getting the credit for it. And I basked in knowing that her well of creativity that she presented as her own, that was mine, completely dried up. Even though it felt like a sweet revenge, I felt as if more could have been done. Another indicator of a toxic workplace is infighting, intimidation, favoritism, and other behaviors that harm productivity. The infighting and intimidation are typically quite obvious, while favoritism can be hidden or explicit. Some additional factors that lets you know that you are in a toxic workplace are cliques that alienate or promote unhealthy behaviors. This is sometimes seen when there is a us versus them mentality in the workplace, whereby your boss shares that it is either you are with us or you are with them. This type of mentality allows you to feel alienated. And other times they add to the alienation by spreading rumors about employees that are not a part of the clique. And these rumors tend to be cruel and insidious. That's a further attempt to be able to alienate those that are not a part of the cliques. Additionally, a toxic workplace rewards bullying behavior by management and promote diminished accountability by senior leadership or the organization as a whole. Can you imagine that? At times, this is seen when executives are rewarded for using aggressive, punitive, and disrespectful behaviors to get their staff to meet performance metrics. I recall having a colleague who was consistently disrespectful to her staff, and she used favoritism to create a division on her team, whereby those who were loyal to her faced no repercussions, even when those staff did not do their jobs. While staff who worked tirelessly doing what they need to do regularly were intentionally isolated and threatened repeatedly. Her team on paper looked really great because the goals were met, even though she used her power to do it. Her staff were unhappy and dreaded going to work. They would sometimes come to me asking for advice while the bold asked for a transfer to my team. I unsuccessfully tried to appeal to my colleague and made best efforts to be able to get her to understand that what she was doing was inappropriate. She disregarded me. I then turned to my boss in an effort to improve the environment for the staff. After sharing what happened with my boss, I thought that she would immediately take action in order to ensure that there is not a high turnover rate and that the staff would feel happier and valued. Mm-mm-mm-mm. My boss said to me, "Well, we all have different work styles, Josephine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Besides, she's making me look good. Why would I want to change that? Would you change that, Josephine?" I was deflated and disgusted. And to add insult to injury, that particular colleague kept getting more responsibility and was assigned new staff in her area. And over the years, there was progressive appointments to her and promotions. This sent a message to the organization that bullies are rewarded. Hence, the staff became withdrawn and voices were silenced. Let's talk a little bit more about a toxic workplace and what it looks like. It also looks like an environment where there's minimum support from human resources, whereby there is a high turnover rate and HR is being given feedback as to why staff are leaving, but HR takes no action in order to mitigate or resolve the issue. And for those of you wondering, burnout is when one experiences emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion from a prolonged stressor. These stressors leaves the individual feeling drained, disconnected, and unable to carry out their personal or professional tasks. According to Human Resources News, approximately 65% of employees experience burnout in 2023. That's a significant data point. It indicates that most of us, at some point or another, face burnout at our jobs. I had a boss. We'll call her the Dragon Lady. Actually, everyone in my family calls her the Dragon Lady. She incessantly kept calling me late at night, overworking me and stressing me. As a Black professional who was raised to excel despite the obstacles, I pushed through and did my best. I put up with unhealthy behaviors and unhealthy demands because I felt that I was showing strength when in reality, I was showing weakness by not standing up for what is best for me. As the Dragon Lady continued to call me late at night, asking me to do tasks that really could have been done the next day, my husband brought it to my attention. "Josephine, I'm confused. I am confused. What is going on here? Are you working or are you home? You need to let your boss know that you can't work from home at 11 o'clock at night if there is no emergency. This constant calling It has to stop. We're not able to have intimate fun time because the dragon lady keep calling you late at night. Josephine, this is not going to work. Clearly, I wanted to make sure I had fun. Hence, I addressed the issue with my boss the next day. I told her, unless there's an emergency after 7 p.m. that required my immediate oversight, I would appreciate if she would just notify me in the morning as to what happened. And guess what? She retaliated. She gave me extra work projects and started making insinuations about my skill set and noting that I was not a content expert. I rode the wave and I documented everything that she said. And eventually, she had to stop her lies because everyone knew that she was not being accurate at all. I know that sometimes it does not seem as if there are any rainbows at the end of the storms, but I promise you, if you learn how to navigate the storm of a toxic workplace, not only can you survive it, you can thrive as well. I am a living example of that. Some other examples of what happens in a toxic workplace, to give you a more concrete idea as what a toxic workplace is not being given the accolades that you deserve. Not just someone taking credit, someone knowing that you earned maybe an outstanding or particular award, but they did not submit your name because they do not want you to get that recognition. In addition to that, a toxic workplace is an environment where employees are not appreciated for doing a good job. Once in a while, maybe once a year, you'll hear, good job at the employee recognition event. But that's it. There's no leadership development. They don't identify potential. There's no professional development to cultivate these future leaders. Additionally, in a toxic workplace, ideas are ignored or completely dismissed. Have you or someone you know ever experienced this? I recall being in an executive meeting where we had a brainstorming session. I eagerly raised my hand and shared my solution while citing my agency's policies and procedures to make sure that it was in alignment with what our agency expected. I looked around the room to read the temperature of the room. My colleagues seemed to be okay with what I said. However, I felt as if the senior executives really did not like my idea. I raised my hand again, and then I was ignored. Then the last time, we will call the senior executive, Miss Johnson. She said to me, Josephine, hmm, hmm, guess what? We will put your idea in the parking lot. Maybe at the next meeting, we can explore it a little bit longer. Because right now, we really don't have the time to explore it. And yeah, it can go in the parking lot in a very dismissive manner. She saw that I was disappointed, and Miss Johnson leaned in and said, you know what? It will permanently stay in the parking lot. We're not going to explore it at the next meeting. She dug in because she wanted to see that look of defeat on my face. I grabbed my invisible pearls. I said, Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, because I felt deflated. Once again, I felt as if I did not belong. I wondered, how could such leaders or bosses create such imbalance and toxicity in the workplace? What is in it for them? I excused myself and I went to the ladies' room to compose myself because I didn't want them to see me break a sweat or even to have an appearance that I was weak. When I returned from the ladies' room, as I was about to enter the room, I heard Miss Johnson talking to some executives. I leaned in and I listened. I overheard Miss Johnson say, "Can you believe Josephine sharing ideas, acting as if she's a Miss Know-It-All? Can you believe that? I'm telling you, when they rise up, you have to shut them down. Yep, shut them down. Remember that for when you have my position." I was shocked. I could not believe such leaders could act like that. I was deflated once again. Then I remembered what my grandmother says. When people reveal to you who they are, believe them. Actions speak louder than words. This kept circulating in my brain because I am a firm believer in this because of what my grandmother said throughout my entire childhood and even when I was in high school. Hence, I knew moving forward, I had to build alliances to ensure that they did not isolate me and try to take away my power. Moving forward in executive meetings, I was prepared. I entered the rooms feeling as if I was unstoppable. I would sit in meetings and share no feedback at all. Then on the third meeting after the incident, Ms. Johnson said to me, "Josephine, what's going on? You haven't shared any feedback. We would love to hear your voice." I smiled and I said, "You're doing an excellent job of being able to facilitate this conversation, of sharing ideas that have been noted consistently. It is my hope that with such leadership and expertise in this room, that brilliant ideas will be developed that ensure that our staff are getting what they need. And because I believe in you and the entire team, I know that we will come up with a solution. Right now, I'm out of ideas because you and the rest of the team are content experts. I am simply here to observe and learn from the best." Did you like that sarcasm? I thought you would. Yes, I smiled and I sat there in meeting after meeting, letting my silence speak volumes, letting my silence show my power, basking in the glory of knowing my worth and my value, knowing that I am enough and I do not have to beg for their validation or look for them to elevate me because I knew that I have the seed of greatness within me. Hence, what God has in store for me, they may deny me, but in God's eyes, that's not a denial, it's a delay. Because what is for me will be for me. They cannot take it away from me, just like they cannot take away my education and my skill set. Another key factor in a toxic workplace is employment discrimination based on race and gender. Sometimes these are subtle and they go unnoticed. At other times, they are explicit, whereby, let's say, two executives, male and female, are doing great job of excelling in their department, meeting all the goals and exceeding the goals, except the male that happens to be white gets bonuses after bonuses, while the Black female or Hispanic female does not get those accolades. Not only do they not get the accolades, they do not get the pay equity. I want you to understand, besides that, a toxic workplace impacts our health, whereby your health can either worsen or you will be diagnosed with new medical conditions. It can also lead to mental health concerns, whereby you have anxiety, dread, and feel as if you can't cope because of the heart palpitations every time you think about work. You're hypervigilant, always looking on your phone, checking your email, wondering if I miss a phone call or miss an email, what will happen? What's going to go wrong? They're going to hold me accountable. Am I going to be fired? This panicky hypervigilance, wanting to make sure you do everything perfectly. Because if you're perfect, they will not get rid of you. Now I want you to close your eyes again. Imagine that there's a better way of being able to survive at work. Now open up your eyes. I have great information for you as to how to manage and thrive in a toxic workplace. Are you ready to learn these tips and tricks now that we have a better understanding as to what a toxic workplace look like? Let's level up and lean in. Feel free to write down the information or just watch the masterclass should you want to gain additional information that you might have missed because you were listening attentively to me. Are you ready to level up? I want to hear, yes, I am. Go ahead. Yes, I am. All right, let's do this. Some key tips and tricks or strategies include building alliances. Isolation is the kryptonite in the workplace. To succeed, you must create a community that supports you in the workplace. You do this by building alliances with folks that are trustworthy and connect those trustworthy individuals to you. Make sure, though, that these individuals are trustworthy because toxic bosses and toxic organizations, they have what I call infiltrators, whereby they have fake individuals approach you and interact with you in a very friendly manner, smiling, asking about your children, your spouse, your partner, going for lunch, when deep down, they're there to gather information to terminate you or undermine you. It's also important to seek mentorship or get external guidance. I have found that mentorship played a significant role in my ability to navigate the toxic storms of a workplace. I know, just looking back to my early 20s after graduating from college, I was never taught this information in school at all. I'm not quite sure if in 2024, 2025, this information is being taught in colleges. If it is, feel free to connect with me and let me know that information. Something else that's surprising to me was that bullies also are in the workplace. Not in my wildest imagination did my family prepare me for this. I thought growing up that bullies were only in elementary school, middle school, and perhaps even high school because some folks just clearly were not mature enough. Unfortunately, I found out by my experiences that bullies are just as mean as when they were in school. Thankfully, because of my amazing mentors, I was able to navigate that toxicity that bullies sometimes bring to the workplace. My mentors helped me to be able to not just navigate dealing with bullies, but being able to survive the traps that they set up for me in the workplace. An additional tip in order to be able to allow yourself not to get trapped is to set healthy boundaries. Recognize what behaviors, expectations, and demands are unacceptable to you. You must define your physical, emotional, and professional boundaries. After you have done that, you must be able to communicate to the relevant individuals that in order to maintain a healthy work balance, this is your expectation. Be mindful, do this in a respectful yet assertive manner. Creating healthy boundaries while building assertiveness is a very key and nuanced skill. This is done by clearly expressing your needs, ensuring that your boundaries are set whereby you're displaying it with confidence while remaining respectful. For example, if your boss approaches you at 4 p.m. when typically you leave at 5 p.m., saying that they need you to complete a task, I implore you to respectfully make inquiries as to what the urgency is and respectfully request information to determine whether you are truly needed to stay late or can it be done the next day. If this becomes a pattern whereby you're consistently asked to do additional tasks at 4 o'clock, or even they might get smart and start asking you at 2 or 3 o'clock, right after lunchtime, because they know that you have to go home to your child or children, or you have a partner. Maybe they don't have a partner and they're jealous, and this is their way of having misery love company for both of you to stay in the office and be miserable together. You can say something like this: I can prioritize this new task, but I will need to shift other responsibilities as I will be leaving at 5 p.m. Which task would you take priority? After saying this, avoid over explaining yourself, as your boundaries are valid and without justification. And if you do over explaining or try to justify it, that's going to minimize your boss's thoughts about you. You need to be able to stand firm. And I know that this mindset can be challenged, especially when you just feel like you want to punch your toxic boss or coworker. However, violence is not the answer. It will get you terminated. You must learn to protect your peace, be assertive, and when you're setting those boundaries, ensure that, as I noted before, don't try to backpedal and try to justify it. Another thing is to limit your exposure to these toxic individuals. Keep conversations focused on work. Don't talk about your pet, your children, that cruise, or whatever vacation you're planning, because if they know when you're going away, they might give you an extra project, and you don't want that to happen. I remember when I had to stay late because the dragon lady gave me a task at 5 p.m. and I could not pick up my children. The next morning, she asked me, well, how are your children doing? In my head, I said, why are you asking me how my kids are doing? If you had allowed me to go home, homework would have been done on time. But no, you have me waiting here. Why are you asking me? And I knew in my head that, you know what, I can't say this out, but I knew that she was trying to stir the pot to get me upset, and I was not going to break. I was not going to break. I have something for her. And I said, well, since you value timely submissions and work being done completely, at this moment, I cannot engage in a conversation about my children, though I would love to, because I know that we both want to leave here timely. But before we leave timely, we want to ensure that we do a great job. She immediately left. Victory! Something else that you need to be able to focus on is what you have control over and what you do not. Most times we focus on things that we cannot control, and that is what causes unnecessary anxiety. You must also know your rights. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is there to enforce federal laws that protects employees and protects you from employment discrimination. I know sometimes it feels as if there's no one there to protect you, but laws do exist. You should also become familiar with your agency's policies and procedures, because they are there to protect you as well. Knowledge is power. Know your policies and procedures. Some of my other personal favorites as it relates to being able to actively deal with a toxic work environment is document, document, document. Document unhealthy behaviors, document dates incidents happen, document any witnesses, document anyone who were allies, any actions that were taken against you or for you, any concerns and the outcome. But please do not keep your emails at work. Don't do it. Nope. Because you will leave a record for someone to swipe your stuff and use that information against you. Boundaries are repeatedly crossed, then you must escalate concerns to your human resources department. And if needed, consult an employment attorney, because they will be able to tell you what your next steps are possibly going to be to ensure that you're protecting your peace and protecting your rights as an employee. Another tip is to do what I like to say: protect your personal time. Avoid checking emails, taking calls after work, unless there's a crisis or an emergency that requires your oversight. You can also use the do not disturb setting on your device. when you're off the clock. And for those of you who are working remotely, just try to have a separation between your work and your personal space. You must have a healthy work-life balance. Do not let work consume you. Some folks, they're working very, very hard and they don't eat. They're skipping lunch. They even skip dinner because they go home and they're still working. And this drains you, not just mentally, but physically. Do something that is relaxing. And if it continues and things worsen, please seek counseling. As a licensed social worker, I can tell you counseling can make a world of a difference for anyone who's struggling to manage their mental health. You should not be depressed or face anxiety because of your workplace. You deserve your peace. You deserve to work in an environment that values you and allows you to be productive. For some of us, you might just have to walk away. You must assess whether you want to stay or leave your organization. Staying is necessary for now. If it is, then it is what it is. You must focus on what you can control and what you can't. Protect your peace and look out for future opportunities. But by all means, always have an exit strategy, something that you have as a plan B in the back of your head. A paycheck is never worth your peace of mind. Besides, if you get hurt or die, they will find someone else to take your job quickly before your seat is even cold. Remember, setting boundaries is not about being difficult. It is about self-respect and survival. Stand firm, protect your energy, and focus on what you can control. You deserve a work environment where you can thrive and not just survive. Right now, I need you to make a commitment about what you're willing to do from today moving forward to shift your mindset, to shift into a space whereby you're protecting your peace, productivity, and personal and professional boundaries. Are you ready? Do you think you can do it? I want you to make a daily habit of protecting your peace. Utilize the tips that I have shared today to not just survive a toxic workplace, but to thrive it. Are you willing? Yes? Now close your eyes. Imagine stepping into your workplace every day, feeling like you are walking into a peaceful oasis where calm energy flows and positivity surrounds you. You walk in with confidence, knowing that you will create a calm despite the storm. Know that you have control over your response to a toxic workplace. Storms are unpredictable. They come in different forms: a toxic boss, a gossip-filled culture, unfair policies. But here's what I want you to remember. You decide how much power negativity gets over you. You can create the calm energy that flows through you and around you. As you step back into your workplace, stand tall, breathe deeply, hold your head high. Know that you are stronger than any storm. Maintain the right mindset by using the tools shared today. And you won't just survive the workplace, you will rise above toxicity and you will transform yourself despite it. Now go forward and be unstoppable. I believe in you. Your journey starts here. Let's elevate together. You've taken a powerful step by attending this toxic workplace masterclass. This is just the beginning. Are you willing to do more? Remember, knowledge alone won't create change. Action will. You don't have to navigate the storms alone. Reach out to me. Connect with me. Together, we can build a path forward where you are empowered, elevated, and unstoppable. By connecting with me, you'll gain one-on-one support and a community that is there to elevate and empower you through personalized strategies to help you reclaim your confidence and peace. Go and know that you have the potential to stop toxicity from negatively influencing you